Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm back again after a brief hiatus, but I'll be making more videos quite soon. Today I wanted to do another comparison video of the Omega Aqua Terras. This is actually by request. Someone pointed out I had not done a video, or I think he said he hadn't even found one on YouTube of a comparison of the small size second gen Aqua Terra with the first gen. And so here they are. First gen Aqua Terra is on the left, that's a 39.2 millimeter case, and the second gen quartz Aqua Terra is on the right with the 38.5 millimeter case. So you can get a good sense of the size of these watches when they're placed next to each other. Obviously the smaller one will wear a little smaller. I think it's a little bit deceiving here because the smaller one does have the white dial. White dial watches do generally look a little bit bigger than the black dial counterparts, so that kind of makes up for it being the smaller watch here. But I think despite the fact that it has the white dial, you can clearly see that the 38.5 is substantially more compact. That's also probably aided by the fact that the smaller watch does have a smaller lug width. That's 19 millimeters on the 38.5, whereas it's 20 millimeters on the 39.2. It's generally a chunkier looking watch. I think the design of the individual links of the bracelet also creates that effect, as you can see, and there'll be more shots from the side where you get a better view of it, but the links are less rounded. They're more kind of blocky on the 38.5. Just kind of gives it a more stout appearance, which is also mirrored by the dimensions of the case itself. You can see it from this shot, but there'll be more views of it. The 38.5 is thicker, or at least appears thicker due to the smaller lug-to-lug distance and smaller case diameter. Here's a sort of angled view. I wanted to try to give you a good perspective of how bulky these watches appear. Definitely, I don't think anybody would ever call the first gen, the watch on the right here, a thick watch. It's actually really thin, and I think it's evident here from this view, but also when you wear it. The 38.5 is not really that a very thick watch, but again, due to sort of the stoutness, the compactness of the whole package, and the shape of the links in the bracelet, it doesn't give you that feeling that it's a particularly thin watch, even though it's numbers wise, it's not a thick watch, but it's just the look and, like I said, the compactness of everything, which actually might be a positive for a lot of people, because this is a smaller watch. So it's a smaller watch, but it still feels substantial. Let's put it that way. It's small, but you're going to feel it. It's not a light watch at all for its size. Now here's a view of the sides of the case from viewing the 3 o'clock side of the case with the crown and the bracelets. You can see what I'm talking about with the shape of the links here. The links being so almost ellipses from the side on the first gen really makes them smaller and makes it a lighter feeling bracelet. The second gen clasp is also thicker, more substantial. As you can see, the first gen is a very, very thin metal. I actually find the first gen to be a more comfortable and more practical clasp, but perhaps the second gen is a little more substantial and solid. Here's another view where you can clearly see the stoutness of the case of the second gen, especially in comparison to the first gen. Interesting difference you'll notice here is that the sides of the bracelet on the second gen are high polished, whereas on the first gen they're basically the same finish as the rest of the bracelet. Here's a view from the back where you can clearly see the difference between the bracelets. I like the fact that these just use the Omega logo and they don't write out the word Omega like the newer watches do. I think that's kind of superfluous and detracts from sort of the elegance of the Omega logo itself. And I think in general, less text is more in a lot of cases when you're talking about watches. So I know this is a very brief overview of the comparison between these. Primarily I'm focusing on dimensions and how they look, but if you have any questions or comments, or if you own one or both of these. I'd love to hear what you think about this, and if you have a preference between the two particularly. I think the second gen is definitely a more modern looking watch, but there's something about the first gen. It's just maybe more classic, more simple, and I have to say a little bit more comfortable. That makes me generally go to the first gen when I want to pick up one of these to wear. So let me know what you think, and again, thanks for watching.